In a stunning twist no one saw coming, Hollywood's golden girl Blake Lively is facing a crisis that's quickly spinning out of control. What began as a tightly managed legal defense has now morphed into a credibility disaster, one that could have massive consequences not only for her reputation but also for her high-powered Hollywood circle, including her husband Ryan Reynolds. For months, Lively maintained a firm stance that her involvement in the now infamous Wayfarer project was minimal, distant, and completely non-decisive. Her declaration under oath painted her as an uninvolved bystander, not an active participant in the internal decisions that led to the project's unraveling, and ultimately the legal war with actor-director Justin Baldoni. But now that entire narrative is being called into question. Leaked depositions, newly unsealed court documents, and internal communications have all begun to surface, and they're telling a drastically different story. One that doesn't show Blake as a bystander at all, but as someone deeply entangled in the very meetings, conversations, and strategies she once denied having knowledge of. Emails, witnesses, strategic memos. They're all converging at the worst possible time, and the tea is starting to pour. One deposition in particular, featuring a former production assistant, has already gone viral online, as it directly contradicts Lively's sworn statement, and legal experts are warning this isn't just a case of poor memory or miscommunication. If the court determines that Lively misled through omission or intention, the consequences could be severe. What's more, it's not just about what she said, it's about who might have helped shape the story. Ryan Reynolds' name has now appeared in communications that could become key to this case, and that raises the stakes to an entirely new level. Hollywood is buzzing. Influencers, journalists, and courtroom insiders are sounding the alarm. The media is dissecting every line of every email, and now even Lively's peers in the industry are quietly pulling back, distancing themselves. In subtle but unmistakable ways, the timing couldn't be worse, with the judge now demanding further review of Lively's previous statement, and a potential second deposition looming. The situation has become far more volatile than anyone imagined, and Blake's silence, it's only amplifying the public's suspicion. This isn't just about a legal battle. It's about how a single inconsistency, just one carefully crafted sentence in a court filing, might have exposed an entire web of behind-the-scenes damage control. And with every new leak, every new deposition, and every quiet move made by Hollywood insiders, the world is starting to ask, what else is Blake Lively hiding? Stay tuned, because the truth is trickling in and the consequences are about to hit harder than ever. The courtroom tension was already thick, but nothing prepared the public, or even Blake Lively's legal team, for the shocking unraveling of a key claim that many had assumed was solid. The moment the documents were unsealed and fresh deposition snippets started trickling into the media, everything changed. What started as a confident declaration from Lively's camp soon began to disintegrate under the weight of contradictions, timelines that didn't add up, and statements from others who were there and weren't staying silent any longer. This wasn't just a minor inconsistency, this was a pivotal moment that sent ripples across the entertainment industry, court of public opinion, and legal experts alike. So what exactly did Blake Lively say, and why is everyone suddenly saying that it was never true to begin with? Let's rewind a bit. In a signed statement made earlier in the proceedings, Blake Lively made what seemed like a bold attempt to distance herself from the deeper controversy surrounding Justin Baldoni's Project Wayfarer. She suggested she had little to no direct involvement in the decision-making, production details, or behind-the-scenes conversations that allegedly led to its shelving, and ultimately the defamation lawsuit that would rock her career. Lively's declaration painted her as more of a peripheral figure, just someone who was loosely connected by association, not responsibility. But now, with just a few verified documents and clips from ongoing depositions, that entire framing is falling apart, and fast. According to multiple verified sources, and now backed by emails that have quietly surfaced through a court-mandated data collection process, Lively was far more involved in meetings and internal decisions regarding the Wayfarer project than she initially led the court and public to believe. But the unraveling didn't stop at internal communications. What truly raised eyebrows was when another individual tied to the production, who were calling witness due to anonymity protocols, gave a deposition that directly contradicted Lively's version of events. The witness reportedly stated that not only was Lively present at a key meeting where the fate of Wayfarer was discussed, but that she had voiced clear opinions on what direction the project should take. That same witness went a step further, claiming Lively had expressed concern about how certain elements of the film could spark unnecessary backlash given the climate of the industry. It was a moment that stunned even some of the court reporters in the room. Because if true, this meant Blake didn't just observe from the sidelines. She had a hand in the outcome, and the timeline makes it all even more complex. Emails that have now been introduced show that Lively communicated directly with top-level executives. Within 24 hours of that meeting, her tone direct, assertive, strategic. A far cry from the passive, detached persona outlined in her legal declaration. All of this would have been damning enough. But what truly amplified the public's scrutiny was how quickly social media picked up the contradiction. Hashtag Blake Lively began trending on X, formerly Twitter, within hours of court insiders hinting at the discrepancy. Influencers, legal analysts, and entertainment commentators all began dissecting the footage, documents, and leaks. And what they found was troubling an inconsistency that may not only impact Blake's credibility, but potentially reshape the direction of this entire case. Still, Blake's legal team hasn't backed down. In an updated response filed with the court, her lawyers claim that any misunderstanding stems from imprecise language in the original declaration. They argue that the documents now being used to suggest contradiction are being taken out of context, and that Blake never intended to mislead. But critics and frankly many neutral observers are calling that explanation weak, because here's the thing: in legal matters of this scale, precision isn't optional. A declaration is a sworn statement. Courts rely on it. The public interprets it. Journalists analyze every word of it, so when key details are revealed to be inaccurate or, worse, knowingly misrepresented, it shakes the entire narrative. And here's where it gets even more dramatic. Another court filing, this one by Justin Baldoni's legal team, includes a request for the court to take judicial notice of the contradictions. They've submitted a side-by-side comparison of Lively's original declaration and the newly surfaced evidence, essentially arguing that this isn't just about bad memory or miscommunication. This is about integrity. They stop short of directly accusing her of perjury, but the implication is clear. Behind closed doors, court insiders are reportedly buzzing. Some even believe that if the contradictions continue to mount, the judge may take more serious steps, potentially even sanctioning Lively's legal team if it's found they knowingly submitted misleading documentation. Meanwhile, the deposition tea continues to leak slowly but surely. Another clip quietly obtained by a media outlet shows a witness describing how Lively allegedly tried to clean up messaging internally once she realized the backlash was brewing. According to this individual, there were frantic messages sent late at night between her team and the studio's crisis PR advisors, seeking to reframe the public narrative before the story hit the press. Now, none of this has been officially ruled on. The case is still in progress, and Blake Lively, for her part, maintains that she acted in good faith at every stage. But public trust is a fragile thing, and in the age of transparency, leaked messages and receipts being aired in court, the line between perception and reality gets blurred very quickly. It's no longer just about what Blake Lively did or didn't do, it's about whether the version of events she gave under oath can stand the test of documentation, testimony, and the court of public opinion. The fallout is only just beginning. As soon as the story broke that Blake Lively's previous statement had been quietly contradicted by internal emails and sworn testimony, the media wasted no time jumping in. And what followed was nothing short of a full-blown press frenzy. Major entertainment outlets scrambled to verify details. Headlines began flooding in with phrases like "inconsistency alert, Blake's legal drama deepens," and "Blake's truth questioned in shocking turn." Even traditionally neutral publications took a more scrutinizing tone, suggesting that something more serious was brewing beneath the surface of Lively's previous courtroom declaration. And it didn't take long for veteran legal experts to weigh in. One former prosecutor, who now works as a legal analyst for a prominent cable network, described the situation as a textbook example of why accuracy in legal declarations is absolutely critical. He emphasized that even minor discrepancies can spiral into credibility crises, especially when those discrepancies pertain to events as well documented as executive meetings and email chains. His analysis quickly went viral when he added, "The problem isn't just what she said, it's what the evidence now suggests she knew when she said it. That's what courts don't like, that's what juries remember." It wasn't just legal experts sounding the alarm. Publicists and crisis managers also began weighing in, anonymously suggesting that Blake Lively's team had potentially underestimated the public's appetite for transparency and overestimated their ability to control the narrative. One insider, quoted in a Rolling Stone-style op-ed, put it bluntly, "They tried to walk a fine line between denial and detachment. But now that the emails are public and witnesses are talking, that line has disappeared. You can't unsee the receipts." And then came the editorial storm. Several influential entertainment columnists who had previously remained cautious about jumping into the fray suddenly pivoted. A widely shared blog post titled "Blake Lively's Credibility Crisis is no longer a whisper" dissected the newly released details line by line, highlighting not only the contradictions, but also the strategic framing in her original statement that now appears at best misleading. And all of this landed just as clips from ongoing depositions began to circulate more widely, while full video footage remains under court seal. Verified snippets, obtained by multiple media outlets, show individuals close to the situation recounting Lively's role in decision-making discussions. One striking segment features a former assistant producer saying she absolutely remembers Blake voicing serious concerns about how a certain plot line might be perceived, and that Blake made it very clear that she didn't want to be publicly tied to any potential backlash. That statement was interpreted by many as damage control, not just for the project, but for her own brand, and therein lies the deeper issue. This isn't just about legal accuracy, it's about trust, about public perception, about the idea that someone who cultivated a carefully curated image of authenticity may have behind the scenes been pulling strings in a very different direction. Suddenly social media was alive with theories and commentary. Hashtags like #BlakeKnew and #emails trended for days. Popular commentary channels posted breakdowns of the new evidence side by side with her sworn declaration, asking viewers to decide for themselves, was this a mistake or something more deliberate? Even more telling was the tone shift in previously supportive fan communities. Dedicated pages that once flooded timelines with support for Lively began pausing their activity. One prominent fan account with over 250,000 followers posted, "We love Blake, but this doesn't feel right. The facts just don't match what we were told. If it was an honest error, she should say that. Silence isn't helping her case." This public doubt rippled into other areas of Hollywood too. Several entertainment insiders anonymously told trade outlets that the situation is beginning to affect how studios view Lively's current projects. One streaming platform exec revealed that internal conversations have begun about whether to delay press events or adjust PR rollouts tied to her upcoming work. While no official moves have been made, the unease is real and growing. Back in the courtroom, Baldoni's team has seized the moment. Their latest court filing includes not only a detailed timeline of Blake's communications, but also witness statements that place her in strategic meetings she previously denied participating in. They're pushing hard on a narrative that she attempted to rewrite her role in the aftermath of controversy, and that doing so under oath was not just misleading but damaging to the case's integrity. Their filing includes this line: "The evidence directly contradicts the sworn statements made by Ms. Lively. This is not a matter of misinterpretation but of omission and obfuscation." Strong words, ones that are sure to draw the court's attention. Meanwhile, Lively's attorneys have remained defensive. They issued a short press statement attempting to reassure the public that their client stands by her word and that the media's interpretation of inconsistencies lacks full context. The problem: the public isn't buying it. A recent poll conducted by a digital outlet showed that over 60% of readers now believe Lively may have exaggerated or misrepresented her role in the Wayfarer controversy. That's a staggering shift from the 20% who believed so just weeks ago. And it's not just the public mood that's shifting. Hollywood PR insiders suggest that trust issues like this are extremely hard to come back from, especially when they involve legal integrity and credibility. If you can't trust what a celebrity says under oath, one branding expert noted, it casts a shadow over everything else they say on red carpets and interviews in their work. And this is where the tea really starts to boil over. Sources close to the case are now whispering that Lively may soon be asked to sit for a second deposition, this time focused entirely on her previous declaration, the discrepancies, and the newly revealed communications. And if that happens, legal experts believe it could become a turning point in the case. Because if Blake Lively is placed under oath again and asked to clarify what she knew, and when she knew it, it could either vindicate her or shatter her credibility further. It all hinges on one thing: how much of the current narrative can be walked back without legal consequence, and more importantly, how will the judge respond to the growing stack of contradictions being submitted into the record? As the contradictions began stacking up and public sentiment started shifting, all eyes turned toward the courtroom itself, specifically to how the judge overseeing this high-stakes legal battle would respond to the rapidly changing landscape. And to the surprise of many, the court didn't waste any time acknowledging the growing pressure. In a recent hearing that was meant to be a procedural formality, things took an unexpected turn when Justin Baldoni's legal team submitted a motion requesting an evidentiary review of Lively's previous declaration. Their argument was as clear as it was forceful: the court deserves to hear the full truth. not just carefully edited portions of it. Ms. Lively's previous testimony omits crucial facts that have now been corroborated by third-party witnesses and communications. This warrants further scrutiny. The judge reportedly reviewed the motion with visible concern. According to several reporters in the room, there was a distinct moment when the judge looked directly at Lively's attorneys and asked whether they were fully confident in the accuracy of the declaration submitted. It was a question that seemed simple on the surface but carried the weight of something much deeper. The room fell silent. After a brief conference at the bench, Lively's legal team responded with a cautious, carefully worded affirmation. They claimed they stood by the statement in context and that any seeming contradictions could be addressed through supplemental clarification. That phrase, supplemental clarification, instantly became a buzzword across legal commentary outlets, because in legal circles that can often mean a quiet attempt to walk back or soften earlier testimony without directly admitting fault. But the court wasn't done. The judge then asked Baldoni's attorneys to submit all relevant emails, deposition transcripts, and statements that directly challenged Lively's account, signaling that the court was in fact taking the matter seriously. This is where Baldoni's strategy came into sharp focus. Sources close to his legal team confirmed that this move wasn't just about proving Lively wrong. It was about systematically showing that a pattern existed. Not one accidental omission, but a repeated attempt to distance herself from responsibility. While documentation told a different story, one insider explained they aren't just trying to catch her in a lie, they're trying to establish a motive. If she minimized her role intentionally, then it speaks to a much broader issue of image protection at the expense of the truth. And that's when the next piece of the puzzle dropped: an internal calendar entry obtained through subpoena that showed a scheduled crisis prep meeting between Lively's PR team and studio executives just days after Wayfarer began receiving critical industry feedback. The timing, just one day before Lively submitted her now controversial declaration. Coincidence? Some think not. Legal commentators noted that this new piece of evidence adds fuel to Baldoni's argument that Lively was attempting to reframe her involvement not just legally but publicly. And if that's true, then it might not just be a matter of credibility, it could border on obstruction. While the judge hasn't made any rulings yet, they have scheduled a special hearing to consider whether portions of Lively's earlier testimony need to be amended or formally clarified under oath. That's a rare move, and one that shows the court is paying attention. Meanwhile, the deposition tea just keeps getting hotter. Another deposition excerpt released this week came from a former executive assistant who worked directly with Lively during the Wayfarer period. The assistant testified that not only was Lively deeply involved in strategy meetings, but that she had insisted on reviewing certain marketing plans personally. That statement alone calls into question her earlier claim of being removed from day-to-day decisions. Even more damaging, the assistant recalled overhearing a conversation where Lively reportedly said, "We need to be very careful not to leave fingerprints." The phrase has sent shockwaves through legal circles and online commentary channels alike. While it may have been rhetorical or simply strategic language, the implication is now being dissected. Was this an admission of image management, or something more deliberate? Public opinion continues to shift. Polls from digital media outlets now show that only 28% of surveyed readers still believe Lively had no significant involvement in the fallout surrounding Wayfarer. That number was over 70% at the start of the year, and Hollywood is feeling it. Multiple industry insiders have confirmed that internal conversations are now underway regarding future collaborations with Lively, while no studio has publicly backed away. There's growing caution among producers and executives, particularly with streaming platforms, where public perception is key to subscriber engagement. One executive summed it up quietly: "It's not about guilt or innocence right now, it's about noise." And this case is becoming very loud. Even more telling is the silence from Ryan Reynolds. Despite usually being vocal on social platforms, he has noticeably refrained from commenting on anything related to the case, even as fans bombard his posts with questions. Some believe the silence is intentional, perhaps on legal advice. Others interpret it as distance. And while Ryan stays quiet, Justin Baldoni is quietly gaining traction. His legal filings have been sharp, evidence-heavy, and focused. More importantly, he hasn't leaned into public outrage or media theatrics. Instead, his team continues to let the documentation and depositions speak for themselves. This measured approach is earning him unexpected praise in certain circles, both legal and public. He's being seen not just as a filmmaker seeking justice, but as someone standing up to a potentially larger pattern of manipulation behind closed doors. In contrast, Lively's strategy now appears reactive, not proactive. Every new leak, every deposition excerpt, every contradictory email makes it harder for her team to control the narrative, and with the court beginning to take a closer look at the integrity of earlier filings, her legal team faces a difficult choice: either double down or prepare to revise. And it's clear that a revision would come with its own consequences. If Lively is forced to issue a corrected statement, it could be interpreted as an admission of error, or worse, an admission of deception. That would be a win for Baldoni, not just legally but publicly. The next few weeks will be critical, with a new court hearing scheduled to address evidentiary discrepancies, depositions still underway, and the public watching with intense interest. Blake Lively's next move could define her reputation for years to come. And as the judge quietly reviews emails, timelines, and transcripts behind the scenes, one thing is clear: this isn't just about a single lie. It's about what that lie exposed and who it may protect. As the courtroom drama escalates and Blake Lively's legal credibility continues to unravel, a new wave of fallout is spreading rapidly. And this time, it's not confined to court documents or legal filings. It's Hollywood itself that's quietly starting to pull back. In the past few weeks, multiple entertainment insiders, producers, and PR consultants have hinted that the public backlash surrounding Lively isn't just noise anymore, it's affecting real business decisions behind the scenes. And while no studio has made any public announcement distancing themselves from her or officially pausing projects, the silence from her usual collaborators speaks volumes. An anonymous source from a major streaming service told a respected trade outlet, "There's always risk in the entertainment industry, but this situation is radioactive. When legal integrity is questioned, it's not just about brand damage, it's about trust. Right now, no one knows what else might come out. This shift isn't happening in a vacuum." Just weeks ago, Lively was in active talks for a lead role in an upcoming drama set to begin production next year. But according to multiple sources close to the production, those conversations have been put on hold indefinitely. Publicly, everyone is remaining cordial, no burned bridges, no press statements. But privately, it's a different story, and that's not all. In the last week alone, several high-profile celebrities who previously voiced support for Lively have either gone silent or quietly scrubbed mentions of her from their social feeds. Some have unfollowed. Others have distanced themselves through more subtle signals like declining joint red carpet appearances or pulling out of events where she was scheduled to appear. It's the kind of quiet disassociation that only Hollywood can orchestrate, and fans have noticed. A trending TikTok video with nearly 1 million views pointed out that several A-list actresses and influencers once seen vacationing with Lively haven't posted a photo together in months. One user commented, "It's like she's suddenly off the invite list, and when Hollywood turns its back, it happens fast and silently." This silence, however, isn't just social. Behind the scenes, legal experts believe things may be about to heat up even more for both Lively and Ryan Reynolds. Why Ryan? Because documents submitted in the latest round of discovery suggest that Reynolds was seized on several key emails related to the Wayfarer project, emails that directly contradict Lively's previous statement that she had minimal contact with decision makers. While Reynolds has not been accused of any wrongdoing, his digital presence in the correspondence means that his private communications could now be relevant to the case. And that opens the door to something many hoped would never happen: a subpoena targeting Ryan Reynolds' records. As one legal analyst put it, if the communications in question include Reynolds even tangentially, then his inbox could become a matter of legal interest. That doesn't mean he's liable, but it does mean he might not be immune from discovery. For a power couple who has famously maintained an almost spotless public image, this development is troubling, and court watchers believe it's only a matter of time before Justin Baldoni's team moves to formally request access to those messages, especially if they can show that Reynolds' input helped shape the narrative or decisions that led to Wayfarer's collapse. The bigger question is what happens if the court agrees. If the judge grants discovery access to Reynolds' emails or messages, this case could expand in both scope and impact, potentially roping in other collaborators, strategists, or PR consultants who worked with the couple. It would also mean that this is no longer just about Blake Lively's contradictions. It would become about an entire machine designed to control fallout and influence public opinion. Already, media outlets are circling that possibility. A recent editorial from a major entertainment columnist stated if this was simply a mistake, it would have ended by now. The fact that it keeps unraveling layer by layer suggests a coordinated effort. And if that effort included spouses, agents, and outside advisors, then the repercussions could ripple far beyond one declaration. Meanwhile, Baldoni remains composed. His team has resisted turning this into a tabloid war. They've focused squarely on the legal process, filing well-documented motions, securing depositions, and allowing the evidence to speak for itself. It's a strategy that's now earning him not only credibility in the court of law, but growing support in the court of public opinion. One high-profile journalist tweeted, "Say what you want about Baldoni, but his approach has been respectful and methodical. He's not playing the media game, he's playing the truth game." And that contrast is becoming more glaring by the day. While Lively's team continues to release carefully worded responses that aim to downplay discrepancies, public reaction has turned increasingly skeptical. Fans who once defended her are now openly questioning whether they ever knew the real story. A viral thread on Reddit's entertainment forum summed it up best: "It's not that she made a mistake. It's that she made a statement, got caught, and now keeps dancing around the truth instead of facing it." This skepticism has fueled a renewed media focus on how celebrity PR machines work behind the scenes, especially when legal consequences are on the line. Multiple outlets have now launched deep dives into the relationship between Hollywood stardom and legal image control, and Lively's situation is being cited as a case study in what can happen when spin and strategy go too far. One feature article even went as far as to call it the fall of the PR fairy tale. But perhaps the most explosive development is still on the horizon. According to new whispers from court insiders, Baldoni's legal team may be preparing a motion to compel a joint review of Lively and Reynolds' communications from the 3-month period surrounding Wayfarer's cancellation. This would include internal emails, texts exchanged with producers, direct messages between the couple and PR consultants, and any discussions about framing public statements or declarations. If granted, this could open up a window into the exact strategy employed behind the scenes, and potentially show whether this was a simple misunderstanding or something much more deliberate. The stakes could not be higher, because while this case began as a legal dispute over a shelved project and reputational damage, it's now become a test of authenticity in an industry built on illusion. The public wants answers. The court demands accountability.